Hello, job seekers. Melanie here with CGL Recruiting. Today, we're going to be talking about a mistake that's occurring with people on their location. And I'm talking specifically about your primary location on LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn has more than one way to enter in your primary location, actually, depending on which version you have. LinkedIn has a habit of rolling things out differently to different areas as they're testing and trying things. So for some of you, like for example, you have the hashtag open to work section that shows locations one way, and for others, you actually have to put in like a zip code. So that is not what I'm going to totally talk about today, is that location. We're going to talk about the primary location. And this is the one that shows right underneath your name on LinkedIn. Now, even this part of the location has some differences depending on which version of LinkedIn that you have. So for some of you, you will enter in your zip code or your city, and it will default to the biggest city that's next to you. For others, it doesn't do that. And if you have one of the if it's been a long time since you've been in your LinkedIn, it will even prompt you to change this to whatever the current setting is for the one that they rolled you on. Okay, all that aside, here is the mistake that's happening with the location in LinkedIn. I think somebody is giving advice to job seekers to do this, and it is wrong. They're, especially in the US, and I will say this is a US specific phenomenon. I haven't seen this outside of the US. People are starting to put as their primary location United States, instead of putting like Houston, Texas, or Atlanta, Georgia. And I get it. It sounds like a good idea because you're thinking, oh, I'm going to come up in all of the searches if I put my primary location as United States. Or you're thinking, well, nobody's going to say, oh, we don't want to talk to her because she's in this state and the job is in this state. So it sounds like it's a good idea, but it's not. And here is why. When you do a search using LinkedIn Recruiter, which is what they're using to find you, and let's say I enter into the current location field, Houston, Texas. If you have United States as your primary location, you do not come up in that search. It makes you fall out of the search. It doesn't recognize United States as Houston, Texas for the purposes of that search. And most people in recruiting and companies, unless the position truly can be located anywhere, are always going to be doing location-specific searches. Now, if they've exhausted everybody in that location, they'll keep broadening out the search, or they'll say who's willing to relocate. But as a rule, in general, they're always going to be looking first at who is in that location. And so when you choose United States, you fall out of those searches. So I hear what you're in your head. You're saying, but wait, I don't want to follow the searches, but I live in a very small town near this big town. And I really want to, I live in Spring, Texas, and I really want to target Houston, Texas. That's okay. What you do in that instance is you change your primary location to that city. And that is actually advice I also give to people who are trying to relocate from one city to another. If you know you're going to be in that city and you know you're looking for a job in that city, change your primary location to that city, because that way you'll start coming up in searches for that primary location. Now, hopefully you have the version of LinkedIn that allows you on your open to work to put other locations that you're willing to relocate to. Now, if you do have that option, which most people do, I know there's some that still have the zip code version, but if you have that, where those locations come into play in LinkedIn is only if the recruiter chooses, instead of saying, I'm looking for not just people currently in this location, I'm looking at people who are open to relocating to this location. And that's where you can broaden out your locations to come up in more searches. But it only works if they say open to relocating. So what am I saying? Do not choose United States as your primary location on LinkedIn. It will backfire on you. It will not work. You fall out of those searches, and you all know by now how much I hate when great candidates fall out of searches. Hang in there, job seekers. You are worthy of a great job. As always, everyone, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.